Marcus leaned back in his chair and rubbed his tired eyes. Being a human security officer was never easy, but the contract that appeared on his hollow screen that morning made him sit up straight. The Galactic Council rarely hired humans for such delicate missions, but this one came with a generous reward. The assignment was simple in description: protect twin alien sisters named Arya and Nella, heirs of the peaceful planet Lyria. Marcus read the details again. It said he would have to live in their palace to ensure their safety. He felt a mix of curiosity and unease. Humans had rarely stayed on Lyria. It was a beautiful planet with floating crystal towers, forests that glowed at night, and rivers of clear, sparkling water. Yet, he also knew that any mission involving heirs to a throne could bring danger. Marcus packed his essentials, checked his weapons, and activated his transport shuttle. The journey to Lyria was smooth, but the closer he got, the more anxious Marcus became. He had trained for years to protect people, to anticipate attacks and outsmart threats. Still, living with alien royalty was not something he had imagined. He had no idea what kind of challenges awaited him, and part of him wondered if he would be ready. The palace rose before him like a vision from a dream. Its walls shimmered in colors he had never seen before. Towers spiraled toward the sky, and gardens stretched across platforms floating above the ground. Marcus could see figures moving inside through the translucent walls. There were many servants and guards, but none looked like they had the twins' presence. A soft voice called his name. "You must be Marcus," it said. A small hover drone appeared and guided him inside. The palace smelled faintly of flowers, a scent both sweet and calming. As he followed the drone, Marcus noticed portraits of two young women, one with bright amber eyes and the other with soft green eyes. Both had long silver hair that glowed faintly in the palace light. He realized these were the sisters he had been hired to protect. Soon, he reached a large room where the twins waited. Arya and Nella looked identical but had small differences in their expressions. Arya had a playful smile, while Nella appeared more observant, her green eyes studying him carefully. The moment Marcus entered, both sisters stood and bowed politely. "Welcome, Marcus," said Arya with a gentle voice. "We heard you would be joining us." Nella nodded. "Our parents said you are skilled. We hope you are ready for life here." Marcus gave a slight bow in return. "I am here to ensure your safety. That is my job." Arya giggled. "Your job will be harder than you think. We are not like most people you have protected." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "In what way?" Nella stepped forward. "We like to explore. We do not always follow rules. And we like to test people who stay with us." Marcus felt a slight chill. Testing him was part of their culture, he guessed, but he had not expected it to start immediately. "I will do my best to meet your expectations," he said carefully. The twins exchanged a glance and then smiled. "Good," Arya said. "You will need it." The first day was a whirlwind. Marcus tried to learn the layout of the palace while keeping an eye on every exit and entrance. The twins introduced him to the servants, each with unique skills and ways of moving. Some could hover, others could manipulate light. It was fascinating but also overwhelming. He quickly realized that understanding the palace meant understanding the people within it. Every movement mattered, and every detail could be a clue to potential danger. By evening, Marcus thought he could finally rest. However, the twins were not done with him. Arya suddenly appeared in his room with a small device in her hand. "We want to see how fast you react," she said. "This is a simple test." Marcus sighed but followed her instructions. The test involved dodging small energy pulses and predicting their path. He managed to complete it successfully, but he noticed Nella watching quietly from the doorway. She clapped softly. "Impressive," she said. "You are more capable than we expected." Arya tilted her head. "But can you handle surprises?" Marcus raised his hands. Try me. The sisters smiled mysteriously. That night, Marcus reflected on his first day. He was used to guarding people, but living with them was a different experience. He had to anticipate not just attacks from outside but also the twins' playful challenges. He realized that protecting them meant more than shielding them from harm. It meant understanding them, earning their trust, and learning to live in a world completely different from his own. As he drifted to sleep, Marcus felt a strange excitement. This mission would test every skill he had, but it would also teach him something new. He was beginning to understand that life with Arya and Nella would be unpredictable, full of surprises, and perhaps more rewarding than any mission he had ever taken. When the first rays of Lyria's sun touched the palace towers, Marcus was already awake. He watched the light dance across the crystal walls and thought about the twins. He knew that every day would be a challenge, but he was ready to face it. For the first time in a long while, he felt that being human might be an advantage in a world so different from his own. By the time the sisters appeared for breakfast, Marcus had made a plan. He would observe, learn, and adapt. Protecting Arya and Nella would require more than weapons and strategy. It would require patience, insight, and courage. He felt a spark of determination. The twins entered the room, chatting quietly. Arya laughed as she noticed Marcus watching carefully. "You are serious, aren't you?" she said. Marcus nodded. "I take my job seriously. I will make sure nothing harms you." Nella smiled faintly. "Good. We will see how long that lasts." Marcus only smiled back. Inside, he felt ready for whatever came next. He had no idea how life with the twins would unfold, but he was determined to rise to the challenge. This was not just a job, it was the start of something extraordinary. The palace felt alive around him. The walls shimmered, the gardens glowed, and the twins moved like a dance of light and energy. Marcus knew that he had stepped into a world far beyond anything he had known. But he was ready. He was ready to protect, to learn, and perhaps even to belong. That was the unexpected beginning of Marcus's life with Arya and Nella, a life that would test him, teach him, and change him in ways he could not yet imagine. Marcus had grown used to the palace by now, but the twins continued to surprise him every day. Arya loved to explore hidden corridors and secret gardens, dragging Marcus along even when he protested. Nella preferred observation, quietly noting everything he did, analyzing his movements and decisions. Marcus realized protecting them meant understanding their habits as much as guarding them from harm. One morning, as Marcus checked the outer perimeter of the palace, his sensors detected unusual activity near the lower gardens. He focused carefully, scanning for any threat. At first, it seemed minor, a small movement among the glowing trees. But then he noticed a shadow slipping through the walls, avoiding the patrol drones. Marcus's heart raced. Lyria was peaceful, but the existence of royal twins with unique abilities made them valuable targets. He activated his communication link and quietly informed the palace security system to heighten alert levels. He also notified the twins. Arya appeared almost immediately, smiling but curious. "What is it?" she asked. Marcus held up a hand. "There is something unusual in the gardens. I need you to stay inside." Nella's eyes narrowed. "We can help," she said softly. Marcus shook his head. "Not this time. Let me handle it." But Arya was persistent. "You said you protect us, but we protect each other too. You need to understand that." Marcus sighed. "Fine. But follow my instructions exactly." The twins nodded, a silent promise of trust and cooperation. Marcus moved quickly through the palace corridors, scanning for the intruder. The shadow had entered the main courtyard, and he spotted a small group of figures dressed in dark suits, moving with stealth and precision. Space pirates. They had clearly underestimated the palace defenses. Marcus watched as they tried to hack the security drones. He activated his countermeasures, sending a pulse that temporarily disabled their devices. The pirates paused, surprised, and Marcus took advantage of the moment. Using his knowledge of human tactics and Lyria's unique terrain, he created a series of traps, leading the intruders into controlled zones where the palace defenses could handle them. Meanwhile, Arya and Nella watched from a safe distance, their eyes wide with concern. Arya whispered to Nella, "He is clever. He really knows what he is doing." Nella nodded. "Yes. But we must test him further. This is only the beginning." Marcus moved silently, keeping low and blending into the environment. The pirates began to notice his interference and adjusted their movements. One of them aimed a small energy weapon toward the palace gardens. Marcus reacted instantly, diving to the side and sending a countercharge that disabled the weapon. The intruders realized they were outmatched and began to retreat. Marcus kept them under pressure, guiding them toward the palace exit where reinforcements could contain them. By the time the palace guards arrived, the pirates were surrounded and captured. Back inside, Marcus allowed himself a moment to breathe. The twins approached cautiously. Arya grinned. "That was impressive," she said. Nella studied him carefully. "You acted quickly and wisely. You understand strategy. But we can still challenge you more." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Challenge me? I just handled a real attack." Arya laughed. "Real or not, you need to understand that life here is full of surprises. We are not ordinary people. You must expect the unexpected." Marcus nodded slowly. He realized she was right. Protecting them would not just mean fighting external threats. It would mean understanding their world, their habits, and their ways of thinking. The twins led him to a secret garden deep inside the palace. The plants glowed faintly in the morning light, and soft streams of water reflected rainbow colors. Arya picked up a small crystal orb and held it between her hands. "We use these to sense changes around us," she explained. "It helps us predict danger. But it also helps us see the true character of people we trust." Marcus examined the orb. "And what does it say about me?" Nella stepped closer, her green eyes thoughtful. "It says you are cautious, intelligent, and adaptable. But it also says you are still learning about us." Marcus smiled. "That is true. I am learning every day." Arya tossed the orb into the air, and it glowed brighter. "Then you have potential. You must remember that protecting us is more than fighting. It is understanding, patience, and trust." Over the next few days, Marcus noticed small signs of danger. Shadows in the halls, unusual signals in the palace sensors, and whispers from distant corridors. He realized the pirates' attack was not random. Someone wanted the twins, and their motives were unknown. Marcus began planning for a larger threat, reviewing every entry point and exit, coordinating with the palace guards, and learning more about the palace's alien technology. The twins tested him in subtle ways, setting small challenges to observe his reactions. Arya would move silently behind him and see if he noticed, while Nella asked questions about his strategies, challenging his assumptions. Marcus accepted these tests, knowing they were important. They were not just games, they were lessons in trust and adaptation. One evening, Marcus stood on a balcony, looking out at Lyria's glowing forests. The sky was filled with twin moons, casting a soft light across the landscape. He reflected on the events of the past days. He had survived the first real test, but he knew it was only the beginning. The universe was full of threats, and the twins' unique abilities made them a target. A soft voice broke his thoughts. "You are thinking too much." Arya stepped beside him, smiling. Marcus laughed softly. "I am thinking about how to keep you safe." Nella joined them, her eyes calm. "And we are thinking about how to see your true strength. You are more than a protector. You are part of our lives now." Marcus looked at the twins and realized how much he had changed. He was not just a human guarding aliens. He was learning to live among them, to understand them, and to form a bond that went beyond duty. Protecting them meant understanding their world and earning their trust, and he felt a strange excitement for the challenges ahead. The night settled over Lyria, and the palace glowed with soft light. Marcus stayed on the balcony, alert but calm. He knew danger would come again, but he also knew he was not alone. The twins had begun to trust him, and he had begun to understand their world. Together, they would face whatever threats appeared. This was only the beginning of Marcus's life with Arya and Nella, a life full of danger, learning, and unexpected bonds. He was ready for the next challenge, knowing that protecting the twins would test every skill, every decision, and every part of his courage. And deep inside, Marcus realized that the palace, the twins, and this new life were becoming something more than a mission. They were becoming a part of him. Marcus quickly realized that living in the palace with the twins was more challenging than any mission he had faced. Every day brought something new. Arya loved adventure and exploration, constantly seeking secret paths, hidden rooms, and unusual objects scattered across the palace. Nella, on the other hand, observed quietly, noticing details Marcus often overlooked. Together, they made life unpredictable, and Marcus had to be alert at all times. One morning, Marcus was in the palace's central library, reviewing the security protocols, when Arya appeared. She was holding a small, glowing device that hummed softly. "Marcus, want to see something fun?" she asked with a mischievous smile. Marcus looked up. "Fun? I am on duty." "What kind of fun?" Arya laughed lightly. "Just a little test. Don't worry. You will enjoy it." Before he could answer, she activated the device. Suddenly, a holographic map appeared, showing all the palace corridors in bright colors. Small lights moved across the map, representing invisible pathways only the twins could normally see. Arya grinned. "You need to navigate through this maze and reach the garden without triggering any traps." Marcus studied the hologram carefully. He realized that some pathways were real, while others were illusions. He took a deep breath and started moving through the palace, following the holographic guide. Arya and Nella watched silently, occasionally laughing as Marcus dodged minor surprises she had set up. He reached the garden without injury, but he was breathing heavily. "You set more challenges than I expected," he said. Nella smiled softly. "It is not just about strength, Marcus. You must learn to understand our ways, our tricks, and our environment." Marcus nodded. He was beginning to understand that protecting the twins meant more than defending them from outsiders. It meant becoming part of their world, learning their habits, and predicting their behavior. The palace itself was a marvel. Its walls were made of translucent crystal that changed colors with the sun. Gardens floated above the ground, and water flowed in streams that glowed faintly. The twins moved through this world as if it was natural, while Marcus had to learn to adapt. At first, he stumbled over platforms or misjudged distances. But over time, he learned to move carefully, using his human senses combined with what he observed from the twins. During one afternoon, Marcus was practicing with the palace's defense drones when Nella approached him. She held a small, intricately carved orb. "Marcus, these orbs can detect emotions and intentions. Watch carefully and see if you can predict their reactions." Marcus focused on the orb. It pulsed faintly, changing color whenever the twins passed nearby. He realized it was reacting to their emotions. With practice, he could anticipate minor changes in their behavior, subtle hints about what they were planning or feeling. Arya entered suddenly, clapping her hands. "You are improving, Marcus. Faster than we expected. But can you handle surprises from outside the palace?" Marcus knew she meant the pirates and other threats he had already begun to anticipate. "I will be ready," he said confidently. Arya laughed. "Good. That is what we like to hear. Despite the playful tests, Marcus also had serious work. He patrolled the palace perimeter daily, monitored all entrances, and analyzed any signals of potential threats. Every time he detected something unusual, he reported it to the twins and coordinated with the palace security team. Over time, he noticed that they trusted him more. He was no longer just a hired protector. He was part of their life, someone whose advice and actions mattered. One evening, Marcus found himself in the palace kitchen. The twins were preparing a simple meal with the help of robotic assistants. Arya noticed him watching and offered him a small dish. "Try this. It is our favorite breakfast." Marcus hesitated but took a bite. The taste was unfamiliar but delightful. The flavors seemed to shift subtly as he chewed, a mixture of sweetness and a faint herbal note. "This is interesting," he said. Nella smiled. "Food here is not just nutrition. It helps us focus, keeps our senses alert, and teaches patience." Marcus laughed. "I think I will need more practice then." Over the next few days, Marcus noticed small lessons in everything the twins did. They taught him patience by moving silently around the palace, observation by asking him to note small changes in their environment, and adaptability by creating unexpected situations he had to resolve quickly. One night, Marcus was on patrol when he noticed a faint signal outside the palace walls. He followed it cautiously and discovered a small group of unfamiliar creatures observing the palace. They were not aggressive yet, but their presence confirmed his suspicion that danger was approaching again. Marcus returned quickly and reported to the twins. Arya nodded, her eyes focused. "You are becoming very skilled at noticing things we might overlook." Nella added, "And you are learning to think like we do, Marcus. That is the most important skill of all." Marcus realized he was changing too. His human instincts were blending with the lessons he was learning from the twins. He was not just a bodyguard anymore. He was a partner, a friend, and someone the twins could rely on. That night, as Marcus rested in his quarters, he reflected on the past weeks. He had learned more about alien life, their culture, and their abilities than he had ever imagined. Protecting the twins was no longer a simple contract. It was a responsibility that demanded understanding, courage, and adaptability. Marcus smiled to himself. Living with Arya and Nella was challenging, but it was also rewarding. He felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced. The palace was no longer just a place of duty. It was a home filled with lessons, laughter, and small moments of connection. As Lyria's moons rose in the sky, casting silver light across the crystal towers, Marcus looked out from the balcony. He could see Arya and Nella walking together in the floating gardens, their laughter carrying softly on the wind. He realized that he was ready for whatever came next. The universe was full of dangers, but Marcus understood that he was not facing them alone. The twins trusted him, and he trusted them. Together, they would navigate the challenges ahead, blending human ingenuity with alien wisdom. Living among Arya and Nella was teaching Marcus the most important lesson of all. Protecting someone was not only about strength or skill. It was about trust, understanding, and forming bonds that could survive any threat. For the first time in his life, Marcus felt completely engaged with his mission and his life. He had stepped into a world full of wonder and danger, and he was ready to embrace it. The palace hummed with life around him. The light of Lyria's moons reflected in the crystal walls, and the soft glow of the gardens reminded him that this world was unique, beautiful, and full of surprises. Marcus knew that life with Arya and Nella would continue to test him, but he also knew he would rise to every challenge. This was the life he had accepted, the life that had begun unexpectedly, and the life that was now his. Marcus had grown more comfortable in the palace, but he never let his guard down. He knew that the peaceful life on Lyria could change in an instant. The twins continued their lessons and games, and Marcus continued his patrols, alert for any signs of danger. He had begun to understand the palace, the gardens, and the twins' habits, but the universe often had surprises ready for him. It was just after midday when the alarm sounded. Marcus was in the library, reviewing security logs, when the palace's emergency lights turned red. He immediately activated his combat protocols. The screens around him showed multiple intruders moving quickly through the outer halls. Space pirates. They were better prepared than the small group he had encountered before. Their weapons were stronger, their movements coordinated, and they had studied the palace layout. Marcus grabbed his equipment and moved quickly through the corridors. Arya and Nella had already been warned. Marcus entered the main hall and saw the twins standing near the center, calm but alert. Arya held a small energy staff, while Nella adjusted a device on her wrist that projected protective shields. Marcus approached them. "Stay close to me. I will get us through this." The pirates had reached the inner courtyard and were preparing to breach the palace main gates. Marcus activated the palace's security drones and directed them to intercept the intruders. Energy beams flashed across the halls as the drones engaged the pirates. Arya moved gracefully, her staff glowing as she deflected one attack after another. Nella stayed behind a protective shield, analyzing the pirates' movements and predicting their next actions. Marcus felt a surge of admiration. The twins were more capable than he had imagined. They were not helpless princesses. They were fighters, and they trusted him to guide them. The pirates tried to divide their forces, hoping to separate Marcus from the twins. Marcus anticipated the move. Using his knowledge of the palace layout, he led the group through narrow corridors and hidden passages. He used distractions and traps he had prepared in advance, slowing the intruders down. One pirate lunged at Marcus from behind. He rolled to the side, drawing his energy pistol, and fired a precise shot that disabled the attacker's weapon. Another pirate tried to bypass the defenses using a hover device, but Marcus activated a magnetic pulse that brought the intruder down safely. Arya and Nella followed him closely, their movements synchronized. Arya struck at pirates with her staff, while Nella used small energy pulses to create barriers and redirect attacks. Marcus realized that protecting them was no longer just about shielding them from danger. It was about working together, combining human strategy with alien abilities. The fight continued through the palace halls. The pirates were skilled and relentless, but Marcus had learned the palace's secret passages and defense mechanisms. He guided the twins through them, using each advantage he could find. Arya's energy staff created bright flashes that blinded the attackers temporarily. Nella's shields absorbed and redirected energy blasts. Marcus coordinated all of it, staying one step ahead of the pirates. Finally, the intruders reached the central chamber, where the twins' main control room was located. Marcus blocked their path and signaled the twins to take positions. Arya and Nella created a synchronized defense, forming a circle of energy that pushed back the intruders. Marcus took cover behind a crystal pillar and fired precise shots at anyone trying to break through. The battle reached its climax when the pirates activated a small bomb designed to disable the palace's energy systems. Marcus saw it in time and grabbed it, running through a secure exit. He threw the device into the outer courtyard, where it detonated safely without harming anyone. By the time the palace guards arrived to assist, the pirates were exhausted and captured. Marcus quickly secured the area, ensuring no one could escape. He looked at the twins, breathing heavily but smiling. "You were amazing," he said, feeling both relief and pride. Arya laughed softly. "We told you we are not ordinary. Did you expect anything less?" Nella's green eyes met his. "You worked well with us, Marcus. That is what matters. You did not just protect us. You fought beside us." Marcus nodded. He realized that this first real attack had changed everything. He was no longer just a bodyguard. He was part of the twins' lives, part of their strategy, and part of their victories. He had earned their trust through action, not words. After the battle, Marcus checked the palace systems for damage. The twins assisted, using their abilities to repair and restore energy fields. They worked together in silence, a quiet understanding passing between them. Marcus noticed how much coordination and trust were required, not just in combat but in every part of life in the palace. Later, as the sun set over Lyria, Marcus stood with the twins on a balcony overlooking the gardens. The air was calm, and the crystal towers reflected the fading light. Arya leaned on the railing, smiling. "You were better than we imagined." Marcus looked at her and then at Nella. "I learned from you both. You are amazing." "I just followed your lead." Nella nodded. "True. But you adapted quickly. That is why you survived. That is why you belong here with us." Marcus felt a warmth in his chest. He had always been proud of his human skills, but living with the twins had taught him something more. He could combine his knowledge with theirs, blending human ingenuity with alien abilities. Together, they were stronger than any individual. That night, Marcus reflected on the day's events. The attack had been intense, but it had also been a lesson. Danger would come again, but he now understood the importance of teamwork, trust, and preparation. Protecting the twins was more than a duty. It was a responsibility that demanded courage, intelligence, and heart. As he prepared for rest, Marcus looked at the glowing gardens below. Arya and Nella moved through them, their laughter soft and gentle, yet full of confidence. Marcus realized that he had begun to feel at home in this palace, among these sisters, in a world that had once seemed so foreign. The first real threat had arrived, and they had survived together. Marcus knew that more challenges awaited them, but he also knew that they could face them. The twins trusted him, and he trusted them. That trust was now as important as any weapon or defense system. In the quiet of the night, Marcus promised himself that he would be ready. The palace, the twins, and the life he had chosen were now inseparable. He had stepped into a world of danger, excitement, and learning, and he was prepared to embrace it fully. The first attack had shown him his limits, but it had also shown him his strengths. Marcus was no longer just a human protector. He was part of a family, part of a team, and part of a story that was only beginning. And in that moment, as the moons of Lyria cast silver light across the crystal towers, Marcus understood that living with Arya and Nella was more than a mission. It was a journey that would change him, test him, and reveal the best of humanity in the heart of the stars. The palace had returned to calm after the first attack, but Marcus knew better than to relax completely. The pirates who had struck were only a sign of something larger, and he could feel it in the careful way the twins moved through their routines. Arya and Nella were still cautious, their smiles softer but their eyes alert. Marcus spent the next morning reviewing all the palace security logs. The movements of the pirates did not make sense if they were acting alone. Someone had guided them, showing them where to strike and how to avoid detection. Marcus traced faint energy signals he had never seen before, patterns that suggested a coordinated network. He realized that the palace, the twins, and even Lyria itself were being watched. He called a meeting with the twins in the main hall. Arya leaned casually against a crystal pillar, her energy staff glowing faintly. Nella stood beside her, her gaze focused and sharp. "I have studied the attack," Marcus said, "and I believe the pirates were not acting on their own. Someone is planning something bigger. They may want control over Lyria or the twins themselves." Arya's amber eyes widened slightly. "Control us? That is serious." Nella nodded. "We suspected something, but you have more insight than we do. You see the patterns humans notice." Marcus took a deep breath. "We cannot wait for them to strike again. We must prepare and find out who is behind this. I suggest a plan that combines your abilities with my strategy. Together, we can protect the palace and uncover the threat before it becomes worse." The twins exchanged a glance and then nodded. "We trust you, Arya said softly. Nella added, "You have proven yourself. We will follow your lead." Marcus felt a weight of responsibility but also a surge of determination. They began preparing immediately. He taught the twins new defensive strategies, combining human tactics with their alien abilities. He showed them how to use the palace's security systems more efficiently and coordinated drills that simulated various attack scenarios. The twins adapted quickly, surprising him with their skill and intelligence. During one training session, Marcus noticed subtle signs of danger. Small disturbances in the energy fields, faint signals from outside the palace, and shadows that seemed out of place. He followed these signs and discovered a hidden communications relay in the palace gardens. It was transmitting signals to an unknown location. Marcus called the twins over. "This is not just random. Someone is communicating with forces outside Lyria. They may be planning another attack." Arya frowned. "Can we stop it?" Marcus nodded. "We can. But we need to act carefully. If we reveal ourselves too soon, they may attack with full force. We need a plan that is precise and coordinated." Over the next days, Marcus, Arya, and Nella worked closely together. They developed strategies that combined their skills, Marcus's tactical knowledge, Arya's energy staff techniques, and Nella's ability to sense danger and predict movements. They practiced in secret rooms and hidden corridors, ensuring that every step was coordinated. Marcus also began to teach the twins how to think like an opponent. He challenged them with hypothetical attacks, asking them how they would respond, and then demonstrating human tactics that could complement their abilities. The twins learned quickly, their confidence growing with each exercise. One evening, as they were reviewing the palace maps, Marcus noticed another anomaly in the outer perimeter. A faint energy trace led to a distant mountain range outside the city. "I believe the syndicate behind the pirates may have a base there," he said. Arya's eyes sparkled with determination. "Then we must find it and stop them before they strike again." Nella placed her hand gently on Marcus's shoulder. "We will go together. You have proven your courage and wisdom. We trust your judgment completely." Marcus felt a strong sense of loyalty. He had been hired to protect the twins, but now he realized that they had become more than clients. They were partners, and he would not let anything harm them or Lyria. The following morning, Marcus led the twins on a reconnaissance mission. They traveled in a small, silent craft that blended with the night sky. As they approached the mountain range, the twins used their abilities to detect hidden energy sources. Marcus guided them carefully, ensuring they remained undetected. They discovered a hidden facility embedded into the mountainside. It was guarded by automated drones and security measures that reminded Marcus of the palace attack but on a larger scale. The twins exchanged glances. "This is it," Nella said quietly. "This is where the threat is coming from." Marcus nodded. "We need to disable their communication systems first. If we cut off their signals, they cannot coordinate attacks on the palace or Lyria." Arya took the lead, moving swiftly and silently. Marcus followed closely, coordinating with her movements. Nella stayed slightly behind, analyzing the environment and warning them of any dangers. The facility was full of surprises, but Marcus's careful planning and the twins' unique abilities allowed them to avoid detection. Once inside, Marcus located the main control room. He saw the energy signals connecting to the palace and other locations in the galaxy. He realized that the syndicate was more organized than he had feared. Arya and Nella used their energy abilities to create a protective barrier around him as he carefully disrupted the communication lines. The room buzzed with energy as Marcus deactivated the system. Alarms began to sound, and the facility reacted to their intrusion. "Time to leave," Marcus said, signaling the twins. They moved swiftly through hidden exits Marcus had spotted, avoiding patrol drones and traps. By the time the facility guards realized what had happened, Marcus and the twins were safely in their craft, leaving the mountain range behind. Back in the palace, they reviewed what they had learned. Marcus explained that the syndicate would not give up easily, but they had gained valuable information and disrupted their plans. Arya and Nella nodded, their trust in Marcus evident. "You acted brilliantly," Arya said. "We would not have succeeded without you." Nella added, "Your skills, combined with ours, make us a strong team. We are ready for whatever comes next." Marcus smiled. "And I am ready to face it with you. We will protect Lyria together." That night, as Marcus watched the twins move through the glowing gardens, he felt a deep sense of connection. He had been hired to protect them, but now he was part of their lives, their team, and their world. Together, they had faced danger and grown stronger. Marcus understood that the future held more challenges, but he also knew that the bond between him and the twins was stronger than any threat. They trusted him completely, and he trusted them. The palace hummed quietly, its walls shimmering under the light of Lyria's moons. Marcus knew that the syndicate would try again, but he felt ready. With Arya and Nella by his side, he could face any danger. Humanity had taught him courage, strategy, and adaptability, and he now used those skills in a universe full of wonders and threats. The first step had been taken. The greater threat had been uncovered. And Marcus knew that, together with the twins, they could overcome anything that came their way. After their mission to the hidden facility, life in the palace settled into a rhythm of training, preparation, and discovery. Marcus had grown closer to the twins, and they had grown to trust him not only as their protector but as a partner in every sense. Every day brought new lessons and challenges, and every day Marcus felt more connected to Arya and Nella. Marcus began mornings with physical training, combining human exercises with Lyria's unique gravity fields. Arya challenged him to navigate floating platforms at high speed while dodging energy pulses, while Nella timed him with precision measurements. Marcus had learned to anticipate their moves, blending his instincts with what he observed from the twins. "You are improving," Arya said one morning as Marcus landed lightly on a platform after leaping across 3 glowing streams of energy. Nella nodded, her green eyes serious. "You have adapted quickly. That is why you are not just a protector. You are part of our team." Marcus smiled, feeling pride in their words. It was more than skill, it was trust, and trust was rare in his line of work. After physical training, Marcus spent hours with the twins on tactical exercises. He showed them human strategies for defense and combat, while Arya and Nella demonstrated how their alien abilities could enhance those strategies. Arya's energy staff could create powerful shields or disarm attackers with precision, while Nella's ability to sense danger allowed them to predict enemy movements before they occurred. Marcus had to adapt constantly. The combination of human and alien methods was challenging but rewarding. He realized that their differences were strengths, and together, they were far stronger than any single individual. One afternoon, Arya decided to test Marcus in a different way. She created a maze of shifting energy barriers in the palace's central garden. "You must navigate through this while carrying these energy cores to the control room," she said, her eyes sparkling. Marcus studied the maze carefully. Each barrier moved unpredictably, and the cores were delicate, reacting to sudden movements. He took a deep breath and began. He leaped over gaps, ducked under barriers, and used his human reflexes to anticipate the shifts. Nella observed, quietly giving him advice when necessary, her voice calm and precise. By the time Marcus reached the control room, he was breathing heavily but smiling. Arya and Nella applauded. "You are faster and smarter than we expected," Nella said. Arya grinned. "You are learning to think like us, Marcus. That is why we trust you completely." That evening, the twins took Marcus to the palace observation deck, overlooking the glowing forests of Lyria. The moons reflected off the crystal towers, casting soft light across the gardens. "Marcus," Arya said softly, "we want you to understand something. Protecting us is not just about stopping danger. It is about understanding our world and working with us. Marcus nodded. I understand. And I am ready. I have learned more from you than I expected, and I feel stronger because of it. Nella smiled faintly. Strength comes from trust and cooperation. That is what makes humans and Lyrians effective together. You have proven yourself in both. Over the next week, Marcus trained with the twins in more advanced techniques. He learned to move silently through shifting gravity fields, coordinate with energy pulses, and anticipate attacks from multiple directions. Arya and Nella tested him constantly, sometimes playfully, and sometimes seriously. Marcus began to anticipate their tests, predicting their actions while maintaining his focus. Their bond grew stronger outside of training as well. Marcus shared stories of human life, describing cities, machines, and battles he had experienced. Arya and Nella listened intently, fascinated by the human perspective. In return, they shared stories of Lyria, its history, and the unique abilities that ran in their family. Marcus realized that understanding their world fully required learning about their past, their culture, and their values. One night, a small celebration was held in the palace gardens. Floating lights shimmered in the air, reflecting off crystal fountains. Marcus, Arya, and Nella moved among the glowing plants, talking, laughing, and testing small new skills together. It was a rare moment of calm, a time when the three of them could connect without danger or training. Arya turned to Marcus with a soft smile. You have become more than a protector, Marcus. You are our friend, our partner, and someone we rely on completely. Marcus felt a warmth in his chest. And you both have become my family. I never expected this when I accepted the job, but I am glad it happened. Nella nodded. That is why we train together. We rely on each other, trust each other, and grow stronger together. This bond will help us face any danger. The next morning, Marcus awoke to find the twins waiting for him in the training hall. They had set up a simulation of a coordinated attack, more complex than anything Marcus had seen before. This is your final test for now, Arya said. Show us how much you have learned. Marcus analyzed the simulation carefully. The attackers were numerous, with unpredictable movements and energy weapons. He combined human tactics with what he had learned from the twins. He coordinated their energy shields, used the palace's environment to their advantage, and anticipated every move of the simulated attackers. By the end of the exercise, Marcus had successfully defended the simulated palace and the twins. He was breathing heavily but smiling. Arya and Nella approached, their eyes bright with approval. You are ready, Nella said. Ready to face real threats and work with us as equals. Arya added, more importantly, you are ready to live with us, to share this life, and to be part of our world. We trust you completely, Marcus. Marcus felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He had started as a human hired to protect alien twins, but now he was something more. He was part of their lives, their team, and their family. The bond they had built through training, challenges, and shared experiences was unbreakable. That evening, Marcus watched the moons rise over Lyria, casting silver light across the palace towers. Arya and Nella joined him, moving silently through the gardens. For a moment, there was no training, no danger, no strategy. Just trust, friendship, and a bond that had grown stronger than Marcus could have imagined. Marcus realized that this bond was the most important weapon they had. It was stronger than any energy shield, faster than any weapon, and sharper than any strategy. With it, they could face any danger, overcome any obstacle, and protect Lyria together. The palace hummed quietly, filled with the soft glow of the gardens and the light of the moons. Marcus, Arya, and Nella stood together, ready for whatever the universe would send next. They had trained, they had learned, and most importantly, they had grown close. The bond between human and Lyrians had become a force that no enemy could easily break. Marcus knew that the coming days would bring challenges, but he also knew that together, they were unstoppable. Humanity, strategy, and courage combined with Lyrian abilities had created a team stronger than anyone could have expected. And Marcus was proud to be a part of it. For the first time, Marcus felt at home in the palace, among the twins, and in a world that had once seemed so foreign. The training had prepared them for danger, but it had also strengthened their connection. And that connection, Marcus knew, was the key to surviving and thriving in the universe. The palace of Lyria was calm, but Marcus knew that the calm was fragile. The syndicate that had attacked before was still out there, planning their next move. Marcus, Arya, and Nella had trained tirelessly, combining human strategy with Lyrian abilities, and they were ready. Every lesson, every challenge, and every test had led to this moment. One evening, the palace sensors detected unusual activity on the outskirts of Lyria. Marcus quickly analyzed the data. Multiple ships were approaching from different directions. The syndicate had launched a full-scale attack. Marcus alerted the palace security and prepared the twins. Arya's amber eyes were determined. This is it. We cannot fail. Are you ready, Marcus? Marcus nodded. We are ready. Stay close to me, and we will face this together. Nella adjusted her protective device, which glowed faintly with energy. We trust you. Let's make sure Lyria stays safe. The intruders landed near the palace gates. Drones flew forward, scanning for weaknesses. Marcus quickly deployed defensive measures, activating the palace energy shields and coordinating the drones. Arya and Nella moved with him, ready to defend every corner. The first wave of attackers tried to breach the outer defenses. Marcus directed the palace drones to intercept them while guiding the twins to critical positions. Arya used her energy staff to deflect attacks and create barriers, while Nella's predictive abilities allowed them to anticipate every move. Marcus combined human tactics with the twins' skills, forming a defense that was fast, precise, and nearly flawless. The attackers adjusted their strategy, sending smaller teams to infiltrate the palace from hidden entrances. Marcus led the twins through secret corridors, setting traps and using the palace layout to their advantage. Arya struck with speed and precision, while Nella protected them with energy shields that absorbed blasts and redirected them at the intruders. Marcus realized that this was not just a fight for survival, it was a test of their combined strength and coordination. Every step had to be calculated, every movement synchronized. The twins had trained for this, and Marcus had adapted to their ways. Together, they were stronger than any enemy. As the battle reached its peak, Marcus detected the Syndicate's command ship hovering above the palace. The attackers were being coordinated from there, making them more dangerous. Marcus signaled the twins. We need to cut off their control. If we destroy their command ship, the attackers will lose coordination. Arya nodded. Then let's do it. Marcus guided them to a hovercraft capable of reaching the command ship. They moved quickly and quietly, avoiding enemy fire. Arya and Nella prepared their energy abilities, ready to strike. Marcus focused on piloting, using human precision to navigate the attack patterns. As they reached the command ship, the twins struck with incredible power. Arya's energy staff created blinding bursts that disabled the ship's shields, while Nella projected a pulse that disrupted the enemy's communications. Marcus fired carefully aimed shots at critical systems, targeting engines and control panels. The command ship began to lose stability. The Syndicate's forces were disoriented, unable to coordinate their attacks. Marcus, Arya, and Nella returned to the palace just as the attackers began to retreat, their morale broken. The palace was safe. Breathing heavily, Marcus looked at the twins. We did it. Lyria is safe. Arya smiled, her eyes bright. We could not have done it without you, Marcus. You were brave, smart, and calm under pressure. Nella nodded. You trusted us, and we trusted you. That trust made all the difference. Marcus felt a warmth he had never experienced before. He had been hired to protect them, but he had gained something far greater. He had formed bonds, become part of their world, and discovered strengths he never knew he had. In the days that followed, the palace returned to normal. Marcus continued to train with the twins, but now there was a sense of pride and accomplishment. They had faced real danger together and had emerged stronger. Marcus realized that this life, unexpected as it was, had changed him forever. Arya and Nella invited Marcus to walk with them through the floating gardens one evening. The moons of Lyria reflected off the crystal towers, creating a peaceful glow. Marcus, Arya said softly, you were not just a protector. You became part of our family. Nella added, we trust you completely, and we are grateful for everything you did. Your courage saved Lyria and us. Marcus looked at them, feeling a deep sense of belonging. I never expected this when I accepted the job. But I am glad it happened. I will always protect you, and I will always be part of your world. The twins smiled, and for a moment, there was no training, no danger, no strategy. There was only trust, friendship, and connection. Marcus realized that protecting someone was not just about skill or strength, it was about understanding, caring, and standing together. The palace hummed quietly, filled with the soft glow of gardens and crystal towers. Marcus, Arya, and Nella stood together, knowing that the universe could bring new dangers, but they would face them as a team. Humanity, strategy, and courage combined with Lyrian abilities had created an unbreakable bond. Marcus looked at the moons above, reflecting on the journey that had brought him here. From the moment he arrived on Lyria, he had been challenged, tested, and transformed. He had faced attacks, uncovered threats, and learned to live among the twins. Each challenge had strengthened their bond and prepared them for the final confrontation. And now, with the palace safe and the syndicate defeated, Marcus understood that his mission was more than a job. It was a journey that had revealed the best of humanity, the power of trust, and the strength that comes from working together across worlds. Arya touched Marcus's arm gently. You are more than we imagined. You are part of our lives now. Nella smiled, her green eyes calm and steady. And we are part of yours. Together, we are stronger than any enemy. Marcus felt a surge of determination and pride. He had been hired to protect, but he had gained friendship, trust, and family. The experience had changed him, teaching him that courage was not only in fighting but in understanding and standing beside others. As the night deepened, Marcus watched the palace glow under Lyria's moons. Arya and Nella moved through the gardens, their laughter soft but confident. Marcus realized that life with them was unpredictable, challenging, and full of learning. But it was also rewarding, exciting, and meaningful. The universe would always hold dangers, but Marcus now knew that together, they could face anything. Humanity had taught him courage, strategy, and adaptability, and the twins had shown him trust, loyalty, and power. Together, they were unstoppable. The palace, the twins, and Marcus formed a bond stronger than any threat. They had faced danger, trained, and learned together. They had fought as one and survived. And now, they were ready for whatever the universe would bring. Marcus understood fully that this was more than protection. It was partnership, friendship, and family. And with Arya and Nella by his side, he knew that Lyria and its people were in safe hands. For the first time, Marcus felt complete. He had arrived as a hired protector, but he stayed as part of a family, part of a team, and part of a story that had only begun. Humanity, courage, and trust had triumphed, and together with the twins, Marcus was ready for all the adventures ahead. The palace shimmered quietly, peaceful once more, while Marcus, Arya, and Nella stood together, ready to face the future as one.